This house has two addresses. One is Dutch. The other is Belgian. And the reason is right here. The border between the two countries runs straight through the front door. Not beside the house, not along the street, through the entrance. And here, the exact position of that door matters. But this isn't the only place where the border gets strange. Follow it through town, and things get complicated very quickly.
Strange ground.
This is Baarle. Baarle is split between two municipalities in two different countries. There are 22 Belgian enclaves completely surrounded by Dutch territory. And then it goes one level deeper. Inside two of those Belgian enclaves are 7 pieces of the Netherlands. So you can start in the Netherlands, cross into Belgium, and then enter the Netherlands again. Baarle-Nassau has 8 enclaves in total. The 8th sits separately inside Belgium. But the strangest part isn't what this looks like from above. It's what happens when these lines reach the town below. In one Belgian enclave, H15, the border passes through rooms inside 15 households. Living rooms, kitchens, bedrooms, bathrooms. And now we can go back to that front door. When a house sits across the border, the location of its entrance determines whether the people living there are officially registered in Belgium or the Netherlands. That's why the door at the beginning matters. But it creates a much bigger question. Why is an international border running through people's homes in the first place? The answer starts more than 8 centuries ago. Around 1198, land here was divided between different feudal authorities. Neighboring parcels ended up under different control. There was no Belgium. There was no Netherlands. These weren't international borders. They were divisions over who controlled the land. By the 19th century, Belgium and the Netherlands needed an actual border between them. In 1843, they formalized one. But here, the old patchwork was already in place. Instead of replacing it with one clean boundary, the existing territorial arrangement was preserved. So the strange part isn't really how this border was drawn. It's that something much older became the border. And once that happened, another problem remained. Where exactly did all those lines run? That took modern surveying. In 1995, a boundary commission completed the detailed determination of the enclave borders. Less than 2.5 square kilometers of enclave territory required more than 35 kilometers of international boundary. Along it are roughly 960 points where the line changes direction. Around parcels, along roads, through buildings. And once those lines were measured precisely, one resident discovered that her front door was on the other side of the border. She was 84 years old. She had long been treated as living in Belgium, but the measurements placed her entrance on the Dutch side. Under the front door rule, that affected where she would be officially registered. She wanted to remain registered in Belgium, so she didn't move. Instead, the front door and the window beside it were swapped. Her new entrance was on the Belgian side. The house stayed where it was. The border stayed where it was. They moved the door. Most of the time, people here have learned to live with boundaries like this. But that becomes harder when Belgium and the Netherlands suddenly have different rules. In 2020, they did. During the COVID pandemic, Belgium and the Netherlands introduced different restrictions. Suddenly, these tiny boundaries became much harder to ignore. One shop was crossed by the international border. Inside, the line ran through the building, and the Belgian section was cordoned off. Nothing about the map had changed. What changed was how much that map mattered. And if the border can suddenly affect something as ordinary as entering a shop, how does the town function the rest of the time? The answer is cooperation. Baarle in Belgium and Baarle in the Netherlands work together across the border on roads and infrastructure, sewage, culture, public safety, even a joint fire service. They also use a formal cross-border organization for some shared responsibilities. Because whatever the map says, daily life doesn't divide itself quite so neatly. People still need roads, services, and emergency help to work on both sides. And that brings us back to where we started. Front door isn't sitting on an uncertain border. It's almost the opposite. This border has been measured with extraordinary precision. People know where it runs, through streets, through buildings, even through front doors. And after more than 8 centuries, people here have learned to make ordinary life work around it. So maybe the strangest thing about Baarle isn't where the border is. It's how differently that line can matter depending on the moment. If people here can live with a border this complicated, how much does the border really matter?
Places like this shouldn't exist, but they do. If you enjoyed this investigation, like the video and subscribe to Strange Ground. And if you're not ready to leave yet, another case is waiting on your screen now. Until next time, stay curious.